All right, gentlemen. So here we are again. This is the Crushing Limits Unleashed podcast. We're going to have a great one today. We have IFBB pros, Peter Burmester, of course, my good buddy. We have Nate Pennycook, my great friend. And of course, IFBB Pro Chris DiDomenico, another regular on the show. Let's get it started, boys.
Good.
Yeah, so Chris, obviously the focus is you for this one. You've been in prep for a while. Just for the viewers, tell them what you've been working on. Tell us the plan for the shows. What's come up? What's been the focus for this prep?
Honestly, man, my main goal was just to get back on stage. It's very boring and anticlimactic, but that's where I was for the last 2 years. I didn't compete since 2023 Orlando. That was my best placing. I made first call out.
Hmm.
Um, but then after that, just like my coaching business is just really taken off, and honestly, I kind of just lost myself in it. I was going to compete last year. Uh, and then I ended up bailing out of that show just because I didn't have nearly the like life balance and boundaries and everything I do now. Um, but yeah, so that was last summer, and then I was just like in a limbo with my own training for on pretty much all of 2024. I mean, I trained hard. Diet was so. It's kind of like, we all have those phases. Um, but then at some point in time, it was just like, okay, I need to bring this together. Like, and then as you guys know, like you reach a point in your bodybuilding career where, like, the coaching takes off versus the bodybuilding. You start to weigh the options. Um, it's not like I'm making any money from bodybuilding versus coaching, that same conversation. Um, but I think deep down in its core, I just miss competing, and like I know there's still a lot left in the tank. So like I slowly December, January, just started to like kind of get back with it. And I had a lot of issues with just like my range of motion and stuff from not taking care of myself so much in 2024. So I've had to like do a ton of mobility work. Um, but I've actually learned a lot. I've been able to improve my posing from doing so much mobility work and um, kind of tap into new avenues with all of that. But I don't know. My prep is like, it doesn't even really feel like I've been in prep. Honestly, I hate to say it, but this is so taboo. It's been kind of easy. Um, I'd like to do a few shows. Tentatively, I'd like to do Cali, Toronto. And then I just found out today that Chicago no longer has a men's open. So it looks like it'll be Tampa. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like I'm feel good. I'm ready. Like I'm enjoying it. The day and age of me being a hard ass with all the quotes and everything, that's over. Like, I don't really give a shit about any of that. I mean, I still have my own goals and everything, but like, I don't need social media to validate, how hardcore I am. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So like, I think that we all can kind of resonate with that. Like, at some point in time as a competitor, especially on the pro level, like we were just talking about, like you're really doing it for you, and that's kind of where I'm at. So it's a nice peace of mind.
Yeah, I love hearing about the coaching business taking off. We've obviously noticed that, so I love that, man. We always say that, good coaches are gonna respect and applaud other coaches that are growing too. There's no insecurity or anything there. And then of course bad coaches are gonna try to knock you down and take away when they see, there's someone else with success, so we definitely love
Sure.
seeing that.
And I mean, I think that nobody realizes, and I'm one that's all my life was one to like downplay work because I worked all my life, and you never make excuses, but like there is a drastic there's a reason why there's not many pros that are successful coaches or have that high of a client base, or whenever they're competing at the peak of their career, they're not carrying that many clients or even have jobs or work for that matter, because like it's just the mental exhaustion of dealing with that many people, and again, that's something we all know.
Mhm.
um but yeah, so like for the coaches out there, like there's a lot of coaches that were competitors. There's a lot of coaches that are competitors. Like, and everybody knows that give or take of coaching versus competing and weighing those options.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Like we talked about it, I don't know, a few episodes ago with you and like for us, we've been in prep, so many years where it's just like we're both a week out from a show and we're at a client show manning all the clients and it's just another day at the office. Like people are like,
Mhm.
"Well, how do you do that? You guys are a week out." Well, it's like this is all we know, so it's really not an issue, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that like over dramatize the whole process. They think that because they're in a show prep, they can't like function as a human being, and you know, they need a special padded room for themselves and all this other things, and they can't work and all this. But like, it's really not the case at all. And honestly, if that's how you feel, you shouldn't be competing to begin with. Like
100%.
it's if you can't carry on your normal job and your relationships, like the sport's just not for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it is difficult. And it's yeah, if it's gonna
Very.
affect those other areas, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Well, it's more of a mindset, like we joke about it, we talk about it, like if someone goes zero carb for 2 days, suddenly they're so dead.
Yeah.
Depleted.
And I'm like, it's been a day and a half. Like you haven't burned through your glycogen. You're actually okay. But it's a mental state.
Nor do they usually train hard enough to drain their glycogen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you guys know we've all had those days. We've had low days, whatever low means to you, like relatively, but it's just like if you go into the gym thinking you're gonna be weaker, yeah, you're probably gonna be weaker. But if you go into the gym unaffected, like I'm gonna kill this shit, this is gonna be a great workout. It's gonna be a great workout.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Your mental mindset is everything. Again, however cheesy that is, it's true. Like the state of mind. I mean, and anybody knows it's the high carb days that actually make you feel like shit at a certain point in time. Those are the days that put you to
Yeah,
sleep.
Correct.
I
Like
agree. I can't tell you how
no,
many times I've been zero carbon prep or just, fats and protein, and I get given a carb day and I'm so excited thinking I'm gonna look crazy in the gym and feel great. And you get in there and you're like, shit, I looked better yesterday. This is not a good look. And you don't quite feel how you thought you would. But yeah, to your point, I think some of my proudest lifts in PRs were at points in prep, like 6 weeks out, 5 weeks out. My coach just pulled a ton of food. And somehow I was just stubborn on like a pendulum squat and was like, nope, screw that. I'm beating that number today.
Mhm.
And it's just heart at that point.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it's
I
funny.
saw some of your squats. I mean, you're not holding back. You're still doing like 405, whatever it is, Chris, on
Yeah,
squat.
yeah. It's kind of funny. I had a conversation with somebody about that, like changes in training over the years, and I mean, I objectively actually don't go like as heavy on a lot of things, but
Mhm.
like, and there's an idea of like you're under 6 weeks out on prep. Is there a reason to squat 5 plates for like under 10 reps? And we could be scientists about it for like all of that stuff, but like you kind of live by the sword and die by the sword with like having that tenacity where
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't necessarily scientifically mean it's the smartest decision, but like one, you got to have fun with it.
Mhm.
And, some workouts you're in a gym with your buddies. Like I was in Pittsburgh last week and, we did legs and I didn't need to go as heavy as I did, but I did. And I don't know, like at some point in time, like I do this to have fun, not be, the
Mhm.
world's most optimal bodybuilder. So, uh, yeah. So I think that like some of those things, like you keep it in there just because you enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know.
I think it's definitely the context, if you're Nick Walker 2 weeks out of the Olympia with history of a hamstring and a calf tear, maybe 405 straight legs not the move. But
Yeah, for sure.
but yeah, I think that's one mistake a lot of people make is they feel that now that they're in prep, food's going down, that they have to lighten the weights. And I've seen a lot of people's physiques and fullness and hardness disappear because of that.
Mhm.
But at the same time, injury prevention is also important, especially at that 5 4 week out mark when everything's dry and tight.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask Chris, how was it going back to your roots in Pittsburgh?
No, honestly, since I moved 4 years ago, 5 years ago, like I enjoy seeing family, but I don't enjoy as much going back for the gyms because my main gym back home honestly just kind of let go of itself, and it's just,
Yeah,
I mean, nobody's there anymore, and it's just kind of like, and I'm blessed. I think a lot of people like don't in today's day and age they don't realize how blessed they are with these gyms. They're so elaborate anymore. Like
Hmm.
I train at a great gym here, and like going back home, it's always a step down. But this last trip, I went to a couple other gyms in Pittsburgh and had really good workouts, and it was actually a really good trip. I had probably the best week of training all prep this past week. Got to see a lot of like actual good people because of the pit show, the pit power fit. So there was more people in town that I wouldn't normally see, which was nice.
That's good to hear, man.
Yeah.
I guess since we're on the topic, I know I already talked about this, with Peter and with Nate as well. But let's dive in. I mean, you were there live, Chris, so you're going to have the upper hand when it comes to what really happened at the Pittsburgh show. But for the open class, like, how did you see it going? What are some things you noticed? What are some takeaways, I guess, from the show? Who did you have?
I didn't actually see the men's bodybuilding because I was just there for the females all day Sunday.
Hmm.
Um, but in general, like my 2 cents on it is I actually watched Tyler Mannion's full breakdown yesterday, last night.
Same here.
yeah, me too.
I mean, I think people get like so obsessed with it, and it's just like, dude, you got two of the best physiques on the planet. It's apples and oranges. It's a judgmental sport. I don't think anybody got robbed, like he said, because to get robbed, it would have been like saying Bonac beat uh Derek. Like they were neck and neck. You're fighting over shots. In my personal opinion, Derek's a former Mr. Olympian and he looks a little prettier for different reasons. So I can clearly see why they gave it to him. I mean, if you watch Tyler Mannion's breakdown, I think he explains it really well. But dude, it's bodybuilding 101. If you don't knock somebody out, like you leave it up to the judges. Like we've all been in that situation where like it's a close call and it's like who wins, and either side's furious that like they got screwed, but like it's 5 10 judges standing there, and I mean that's the elite of the elite. Like, dude, I like all of those classes are absurd. Like I had a girl that did the pro women's figure. She looked unbelievable, and she was third callouts.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
people, and I think that more
Bonkers.
the problem is not enough people see the pro stage. They live in like the fantasy social media world in like these regional shows where there's two people in a class
Yeah.
and they beat one person that wasn't in shape, and now they think that they're pro card material. It's like you need to go to like the top national shows and then realize that like that's not even like anywhere near the pro stage. Like go to a top pro stage, even be backstage at a pro stage and see how those people look in person. And it would change a lot of people's viewpoints.
Hmm.
Like that is like the top,
Yeah.
top of the food chain.
And I think a lot of casual viewers and people that don't go to shows, I think they forget that there's people outside the first call out. Like there
Exactly.
are guys in the second call out and the third call out that have been pros for years. And if they went to USA's and nationals, they'd wipe the floor with people. But like they just don't understand that most pros are not showing up to Pittsburgh and in the first call out, that there's a lot of us out there that are
Mhm.
doing this and trying to be the best we can.
Yeah. I mean, the prime examples like the NFL, like, my family watching, the game on Sunday saying like, how'd you drop that pass, or how'd you miss that block, or, how'd you blow that, whatever. And like people have no concept of the NFL, the speed. You literally have like a quarter of a second to make a decision, and there's like the craziest freak athletes on the planet flying everywhere.
Hmm.
You know, it's the best of the best.
Oh yeah. When I saw the women's figure list that came out, I was
Yeah, there
amazed.
was
It
Crazy.
yeah, there was it was
was a
stacked. It was
yeah.
crazy.
So many girls.
Yeah.
So,
List. Yeah.
so Stephanie, with that being your division, they crowned Lola, who took third at the Olympia last year. It seems like that is the direction they're going. What are your thoughts on her look and the
Uh,
direction of that division?
I
Because
think Lola is really impressive. And when
yeah,
you're, if, Sydney had 7 years straight, and if they're going to stay in that direction and Sydney's supposed to be the epitome of figure, then Lola's the clear next choice. But at the Olympia, they don't seem to give her that. They always
Mhm.
put Jessica second. So I don't know.
2 years ago, we felt she
Yeah,
should have won.
Yeah.
yeah.
I,
Lola's
I
put on a lot of muscle
yeah.
over the last year or two.
She's got a beautiful
Um,
shape too, and she
yeah,
always comes
unbelievable.
in condition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which yes, Jessica does too, but she's also tipping the line of, I mean, she's got so much size. And, they go on and on and on. They don't want to see feathered glutes or striated glutes.
Hmm.
Jessica always has striated glutes.
Yeah.
She's impressive too, don't get me wrong. But I hope they go the direction of Lola
Hmm.
because the other women that compare to Jessica are tipping that line of women's physique. But who knows with Missy coming in, they love Missy too.
Yeah, I'm curious where she falls. The other girl I was really impressed with, the blonde girl, shorter, Tess something. I think she took
Rammstein.
fourth.
Rammsteiner.
Lena
Lena
Romstein.
Rammsteiner.
Rammsteiner, yeah.
Yeah.
The German girl. She's very good.
Very
No,
good.
no, no, no. This is an American girl. She's
Oh,
very short. Tess
oh, you're
something.
talking about Brodsky, Melissa.
Oh,
No,
Melissa
no,
Brodsky.
no, no, no. She took fifth at the. I'll have
Fifth.
to look it up and send it to you.
Okay.
No, this girl was in the first call at the Olympia last year.
Hmm.
Man, I'd have to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look it up. But yeah, back to the men. I agree. I listened to the breakdown today. I wanted Nick to win. I thought he did enough to win, but I see how it's close. Um, my argument until I heard Tyler's breakdown was just if it comes down to Derek has a prettier waist, then is that the message we're sending now that a streamlined waist weighs more in the judge's eyes than muscularity, conditioning, and winning more shots?
But
That's
that's what they
exactly what
did
I
to
was thinking.
Phil.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I
Ridiculous.
was there. I thought Phil
Oh
won that.
yeah, you were there.
Yeah, that's what they did to Phil. It was
Yeah,
solely like on his.
yeah,
He lost
yeah,
one pose. That's it.
yeah.
One pose.
I was so upset that year because I was a big Phil fan. I wanted him to beat the
Which year?
record.
Which year are you talking about?
18.
It was 2018 Olympia
When
when
Oh,
Roden
he
beat him.
lost to
Roden won.
Sean.
Yeah.
When he
Hmm.
lost
Yeah,
to
Lose to
Sean.
Sean.
Yeah,
yeah.
18.
And my point at that show was like, even if you look at the back shots and the arms and stuff, if I looked at Sean, I loved his physique, but if I look at Sean Roden as a bodybuilder, I'm able to pick him apart. He needs to bring his back up. His arms needed to come up.
Mhm.
To me, that's bodybuilding. How can you have a Mr. Olympia that has body parts that clearly need to come up?
Yep.
Whereas Phil, everything was developed, conditioned, and shaped, didn't need to be bigger anywhere. It was just a matter of, the midsection control and the hernia. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And it goes back to if we're judging it, okay, you lose one pose, you can't, it's not possible to lose the show.
Yeah.
Like I think me and you might be the biggest Phil fans on the planet. It's like, hey, I'm not going to say he won the ab pose with the double hernia. It's
Yeah.
not going to happen, but it's
That
only
was the
it's
message.
only one pose.
That was the message.
Yes.
It
Yes.
was. Yeah.
Absolutely, Nate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like the
And,
Pittsburgh.
I know we didn't like it at the time, but look at how much that first call out in the top 10 has changed since then. Now you have Samson, Derek, Hottie, all those guys that can pull small waists in their front shots. Pretty much everyone outside of Nick has a much smaller midsection than the 2010 and before crowd.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Nate,
just don't know.
what did you think of Pittsburgh, man? I know we talked about it
Uh,
briefly offline.
I didn't see how a smaller waist could outweigh like 30 pounds of tissue
Yep.
this is bodybuilding.
Hmm.
And he clearly beats Derek in his best pose.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I did have Nick edging in the back double bicep, which
Right. So
if
did Tyler.
if you would have asked us a year ago, we all would have said, well, no one's going to beat Derek on the back double. It's just not
Right.
possible. And then somehow when they lined up, we saw that it was possible.
Yeah.
It
I
is.
mean, up,
I think it was clear.
yeah.
Mhm.
Up until this show, I think everyone was considering Derek, does he have the best back double of all time up there with Phil and Ronnie? Um, and now that shot goes to Nick. I think that sends a massive statement.
I mean, I
So,
just think when you look from their legs from the back, Nick's
yeah.
one leg was the size of Derek's two legs.
Mhm.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
And then the biceps themselves.
insane.
Yeah. Derek's arms, I don't know what's going on with them.
They're getting more blurred and more
I
blurred.
mean,
Yeah, and now like especially on that left one, the size isn't really there anymore.
Hmm.
yeah.
So I got concerns with that, but
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but I still have Hadi winning the Olympia. I have him as the front runner. I just think that the
He's going to be
detail,
scary. Yeah.
yeah. I think with him taking the time off,
I was gonna say,
and then, one thing I do appreciate with Nick, I was telling her is that he brings hardness from head to toe. And that's something that Derek doesn't have. And
Right.
that's something that Hadi does have. From
Correct.
from head to toe, he's hard as nails.
Correct.
And I think you kind of have to have that as a Mr. Olympia.
Who's his coach now?
yeah,
Kyle Wilkes.
Yeah.
No,
no,
Hottie.
no,
Oh, I
Hottie.
don't know.
So there's been hints that Hani is still helping him.
That's what I thought because of the
I,
language.
I bet you he
Yes.
is.
Even with the Evogen stories and stuff, if you guys watch, there are subtle hints that Hani is kind of behind the scenes still.
I mean, I don't blame him.
Which that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I just
I mean,
thought in Pittsburgh, like your eyes just went to Nick for everything. It was
yeah.
just like there's just too much.
Jimmy Rambot is the X factor.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
it's
mean, let's not like overlook the fact that if you got Hani in your corner, it's definitely the X factor.
yep. Yeah. It's funny because people obviously if you're great, like Jordan, LeBron, people want to bash, right? And people bash Hani. Yeah, he's selective, but people forget about where do you think he started from? Just like all
You
of
earned
us.
that, man. You're the best. You can
Yeah,
train who you want, dude. That's what coach doesn't want to be selective.
Correct.
exactly.
Right.
We all
When you're
started
the goat, you can pick who you want to coach.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So
Yeah.
Martin Fitzwater, obviously kind of missed his shot at this one, but had he come in how he did at the finals at the Olympia, how do you think he would have done here and compared?
Still too small, I think.
Still too small?
That's my opinion, but
I mean, we were there in the fifth row. I think for me,
Martin
I,
was so impressive at the
Yeah.
Olympia.
he he might have been able to. I don't know. There's no question he would have been second or third.
Yeah. Because
I
to me he has the strong points of both. He has the aesthetics, the smaller waist, he has the conditioning in just about every body part and the detail. I think if his card, he needs to come in peeled, or else he does look small compared to these guys.
I think he was peeled though. I think they just overate.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I heard he was talking about eating like 2,000 grams of carbs on Friday.
Hmm.
yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously we're
Holy
nitpicking
shit.
Is he
bodybuilders.
doing New York,
Who?
Martin?
Oh no,
I don't think so.
I don't think he is.
No. I'm pumped to see that Kennedy guy.
Yeah.
He looks very good.
Yeah.
I saw him just at like the Arnold Expo, and he's massive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was standing next to like Brett Wilkin and Hunter, and those are big guys, and trust me, he wasn't giving up any size.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you guys think Regan can beat Nick and 100% Regan can
No,
beat Nick? Okay.
Not
absolutely
even close.
no.
No.
Not even comparable.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he'll be up there in the mix for sure. If as long as he's in shape.
The thing is that New York, you gotta remember Sauce is there, Bonak's there, and Nick's there. They're all gonna be hard as nails.
Yeah. I probably put Sass ahead of Regan too.
100%.
Yeah. And you got to figure too, he's hungry from getting second in Detroit. He's very hungry.
He's crazy looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a good look.
Yeah. And that, I mean, that Kennedy kid could even beat Regan.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
based off of the pictures he's posting, he's in shape.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's switch back. As far as your prep, Chris, obviously you said it's one of your better preps. Um, for the viewers, what were some of the things that, whether you got judges' feedback or just things that you wanted to improve for yourself that you feel like are improved going into Cal this time?
Can't remember what my judge's feedback was from Orlando. I think that I think my feedback was more legs, more back, which I mean, what bodybuilder doesn't need more legs and more back? You know what I mean? Like, um, basically, I guess my rear shots, you could say. I did change my posing up a lot for my rear shots this year. Just how I present it. Uh, More of like popping my glutes out instead of like squeezing it in.
Are you,
Okay.
yeah. Are you pushing them all the way through to show the adductors or kind of like in the middle?
Yeah. No, well, since everything's kind of changing, like the look right now, I mean, I ultimately see what looks best, but like I pretty much went the full opposite way where I push them
Mhm.
back to show the adductors. And even the hamstring definition that comes with that, like, because I
Mhm.
always was like glutes, glutes, glutes. So I would just, squeeze into it. But the problem when I do that is like my legs literally like decrease in size 50%, literally. And then I did it before. I actually played with it in Orlando, but I didn't like just, I felt like I didn't get as much glute like squeeze in it. But I've been doing that more this off season or this prep where I have more of a neutral like pop back with the glute. And I mean, the glutes are so much bigger, the hamstrings and the adductors are so much bigger. So like I'm gonna go with that and see ultimately how it works and looks. I mean it's pro bodybuilding, so yeah, size, having this size, like my legs objectively look like 50% bigger in the back. Um, and that was the main critique is like bigger legs in the back and more back as a whole. Those were the two big things Bill Sibilia told me after the show. So yeah, I mean that's basically my uh how it'll be. Like conditioning should be, right on point and um having better posing, stomach control was I didn't get critiqued on that, but that was more of a me Dom thing we wanted to work on. Because when I did Orlando, I just wanted to be huge and shredded, and I really wasn't practicing my posing, or at least like being drilled. And then, you get up on a stage and
Yeah.
so that was one of the things I wanted is just better like stomach control. So we'll see how all that goes.
So, Chris, do you feel like that when you pop your hips, that's worth the trade-off that maybe you lose for detail in your glute?
I think that I mean, you know what? Like, I'm kind of going to go with it. And if I get nailed on it, or if we'll see. I mean, I want to do multiple shows. So, like, if it doesn't work out in my favor, it is what it is. But, like, whenever I did Orlando, there was a couple guys that beat me. I'm not going to remember their name off the top of my head. Those two guys that beat me, I felt like I was more conditioned. I mean, when you're backstage and you're looking at guys and you're like, wow, like I got him beat. I got him beat. And then you go on stage. I got fifth and fourth and third. I felt like I was more conditioned. Um, but like the roundness and the fullness of like some shots, and I feel like I lose so much whenever I try and squeeze that the glutes that way. So like you know popping them, presenting a bigger leg, and the thing is like as I pull water and do everything these last couple weeks, like objectively everything's getting tighter, and so like hopefully it comes together. So we'll see.
That's good to hear, man. What did you do to bring up your back? What do you feel like, were some of the key movements or the key rep ranges for you to really make the improvements that you needed to?
Chris, I gotta drop for a meeting, but it sucks because I need to bring my back up, so I'm gonna have to listen now to see what the secret is.
We'll get the secrets coming up.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on,
Um,
brother.
Well, yeah.
we'll see you,
Yeah.
man.
It's great seeing you
Hey,
guys.
We'll
man.
see you next time.
See you, Peter.
I think for back, I just boring answer, more about feeling and pumps. Um, I changed my rep schemes where uh I would do like one top set and a back off set, or two top sets and a back off set. Or I would do like pump workouts where like I wouldn't necessarily worry about the weight. Um, I think objectively, my biggest piece of advice is on back training is always doing some sort of like supported exercise, chest supported. You know what I mean? Like, so you have that support, you're taking the momentum. I mean, yeah, I think the old school exercises are good, but like having a chest supported machine row with good form, like it makes such a huge difference in like all the single arm movements. Uh, I think that really has brought up, a lot. Training, I think training in higher rep ranges for back, 10 to 15, even up to 15 to 20. Like, I mean, if you do like an assisted chin and, if you start your workout off with an assisted chin and you do like 3 work sets, hitting failure, like 12 to 20 reps, like your back's pretty primed with perfect form, slow control, good squeeze. Your back's pretty primed for a workout after that. Um, and I think that's kind of what I've done just the last few years to like really bring up my back. I mean, I think that in general, like I used to, like I was like everybody, I'd go in there and I'd put the whole stack on for pull downs. I realistically probably use 50% of the weight. Like if a pull down machine's 300 pounds, I probably use like 200 to 240 pounds now. And like, I'm doing 10 to 15 reps. So you're just getting more out of it that way. So I feel like that's what I really did for leg or for back.
Mhm. How about you, Nate? What do you typically do for training? Obviously we've trained before, but has it changed
Honestly,
within the last, year or two?
well, yeah, I took like 7 years off bodybuilding, and then 23 I got back, and to grow my back, I pretty much scratched everything I knew and started my back training from square one. Like I went to, doing bent rows with like 20, like 95 pounds.
Hmm.
Just got good at it and just kept building on that, and that's how my back grew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just complete focus on the back with moving nothing else is the only I feel like it's the only way to truly grow your back.
Yep. Yeah, I remember you told me that. Um, like we've been training for a long time, all of us have. And I
Yeah.
think frustrating it probably isn't the right word, but it's kind of difficult, when you hear from clients, we've talked about this a little bit, oh, it's been 2 weeks. I'm just getting sick of this. I need to change the routine. Can you just send me a new routine? And it's like we always tell people like you have to master the exercises. Just because the weight's going up, that doesn't mean anything. That's good. That's good, right? Progressive overload and stuff, but like then we ask for a video and then we see the video and like all of us on here could pick it up where it's like, nope, you haven't mastered the exercise yet.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we look at Cutler, we look at Phil, Dorian, Ronnie. Why are those guys doing the same 4 or 5 different exercises for their whole career?
I've done the same exact split, the same exact training since I got back into bodybuilding. I've put on 25 pounds of stage weight.
Yeah,
I haven't changed a thing.
there's the proof right there.
Nothing.
You've just mastered the exercises,
Correct.
you've mastered the reps, you've found ways to increase the intensity.
Correct.
It's like that's what it's about.
It's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Well, we've said this before. Nobody wants to do the bare bones exercises
Well,
anymore.
it's super boring. It's not fun. It doesn't look cool for social media. It's not
Yeah.
enjoyable,
Yeah.
but you got to
Nobody
like
wants to
find a way
squat
to,
and
Yeah.
deadlift.
yeah, you got to find a way to put that intensity into those movements.
Yeah. Yeah,
changing
like
your stuff all the time, it doesn't, it's hard.
yeah, we'll throw in pull-ups or like even weighted pull-ups for some of the stronger men and women, and people will be like, "Oh, pull-ups,
I
like
want to.
I haven't done a pull-up in 5 years." But it's
Yeah.
like that's like what we started doing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
When I first started working out, it was like my number one goal to do unassisted pull-ups.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. So she did Legions last year, and she's in her suit, she's all tan, and we're walking up,
It was
and
after I got off stage.
yeah, literally right off stage. She's depleted to hell. She's exhausted, and there's a couple guys at the I think the Navy booth, and they're
Air
like,
Force.
"Yeah." And she's like, I'm gonna go do this pull-up thing. And I got it on video. And she just rips out like 22 pull-ups with perfect form, completely water depleted. And these guys are like, holy shit.
Yeah. Because people don't want to do pull-ups. They're hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm good at them now.
Just like bent rows, they're hard.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
squats are hard.
Hard.
I think it's an attention span thing too. Now everybody needs like
It
this
is.
illustrious equipment. Like we need 75 different back machines by every single brand, and there's got to be 35 different levers on every one of them. And it's just like, dude. And the thing is like every physique that uses it is just like a super mid physique.
Hmm.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like it's the same thing with dieting. Everybody needs like such elaborate dieting and like,
Hmm.
think of your clients you have. Like, I mean, I think for like 10 years I ate literally probably the same base plan, just the macros changed. And I mean,
Because
I'm not saying you have to do that. Like I applaud people that like chefs and cooks and do stuff, but it's just like people just like need that constant like, our attention spans are just gone anymore with everything.
Hmm.
So like doing a bent over row is like, why would I do that? That's boring. I could use this Pinata back row, which is like, super cool and flashy.
I was just gonna say Panada. I don't
Yeah.
know. Have you been to Madtown, Chris?
Now I haven't.
I mean, it's probably got 60 pieces of back equipment, and all I use is a barbell and one Nautilus pull down out of all those 60 pieces.
Yeah.
It's got everything, but I just don't feel it doesn't give you the same results.
I mean, I agree. I did that last week whenever I went to Pittsburgh. I trained at a couple different gyms I don't usually train at, and they got a lot of nice equipment. And then like for chest day, we did incline barbell. For my leg day, we did squats. Like I think the machines are cool, like fluff and like additions, but like I mean, you're just never going to sell me that like an incline barbell press isn't like the king of chest exercises.
Right.
Do you ever feel too like those, less machine work actually helps you during prep with gives you the option to like do less cardio because you're burning so much more calories that way with more intensity on those kind of movements?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I
Yeah,
think that kind of ties into in general like training hard.
correct.
Um, like, and I think we can all emulate with that too as coaches, where you have clients that like you're pulling calories, you're refeeding them, and like just nothing's happening,
Mhm.
and then you can't see it, but they're in the gym like cruising IG in between sets. You know what I
Right.
mean? And like, there's no intensity, but like if you can go in there, like, it's just simple. Like, I've never met a bodybuilder that doesn't train hard that doesn't get results. You know what I mean? It's like every single one of my clients that gets results, I know for a fact they train hard. And every client that's like limbo, like, oh, like I'm sitting here scratching my head every week, I can guarantee they're doing stupid shit or they're not training hard. And we all know that. Like, it's not rocket science.
It comes down to the training 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it carries over to the diet and everything, but I'm just saying, like, it's the same thing as if I told somebody I want you to do high intensity cardio. And like I know they're on the stepper, like pushing the envelope. You know what I mean? And then you see other people on the stepper, like, hanging on to it, sleeping, like watching movies, and it's like, yeah, yeah, you probably do got to do 2 hours of cardio a day.
That's actually what I notice is the clients that, you know, do the less are always the one with more cardio, less food. And they just realize if they just trained harder, they would be able to eat more, maybe do less cardio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
always
same thing with refeeding too.
Yeah, correct.
Like you can push the envelope where you can refeed. You can have cheat meals, cheat days, whatever. Like I've done all of it where like when you train hard, when you're on a contest prep and you're training balls to the wall, yeah, dude, go eat 5 cheeseburgers. Like by Monday, it's gonna be gone.
Mhm.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, we do see that a lot. We talked about it, I think, a couple episodes, Chris, where it's just like that's kind of been the theme of the year, at least for our team, where it's just like, yeah, monkey see, monkey do. You see stuff and then you try to replicate it, in the gym, but it's like it's come down to the training for a lot of our clients where it's at 50, 60%, when in our minds, we're like, okay, we know how to train hard. We know what intensity is. We know what a top set should look like. So we just kind of assume, and now we take the approach that we don't assume anything until we actually see you in the gym training or send us a video and that's going to tell us right there, oh, you're not even close to failure. Like you don't know what failure is.
No, I mean,
And then of course the light bulb goes off, like you said, Chris, where it's like, that's why we're not losing 1 to 2 pounds a week, you know?
My big rant on this, now that we're on a topic, is at some point in time, clients, the entire like world of coaching and clients has become disillusioned where people are expecting the coaches to be magicians. And I say this all the time with like people under obsession with like these like high-end super fancy coaches, like Instagram famous coaches that are usually just dog shit. It's just fancy marketing because they
100%.
don't want to work with a coach that like doesn't have lesser of a following or basically, does whatever. Um, but like clients, dude, we've all been there in prep. I'm there right now where you're fighting every week to lose a pound or 2 pounds, and you're training your ass off, and you're dieting your ass off, and you're busting your ass on the stepper to lose to progress every week. But then somehow with clients, it's like they're giving 50% effort if they're lucky, giving you dog shit on a check-in. And then it's like there's like this idea that it's your fault.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Or your clients that are like, well, I can't train in a gym. I got to work out at home and I can't do fasted cardio and I can't get my steps in. Like, I don't have enough time to get steps in. And it's just like, dude, then like I hate to sound like a hard ass, but like, you're just not getting results. Like, you got the top of the food chain people that are literally like firing on all cylinders, training their ass off, nailing their diet, like asking you for ways that they could sacrifice more. And
Mhm.
then you got people on the bottom of the food chain that they're telling you every week what they can't do and their limitations. And it's like, oh, hey, coach, like, okay, where's my results at? And it's just like, it doesn't work that way. Like, there's a reason why the elite look the way they do. And there's a reason why that's 1%. Because, like, the other 90 some percent, like, it's just mediocrity. Like, that's what it is. And it just drives me nuts when you do some check ins and you get such piss poor effort, like, with feedback with like you look at a step count and you're like, okay, 10K steps a day, and you see like 7K, 6K, oh, 10K, you know what I mean? Or it's like, oh, I miss cardio. And it's just like, dude, with your stud clients, it's perfect. You don't even need to look at the sheet. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind that it's like you got like the top people that just train that hard to get results and they're fighting. And I've trained people and they're trying to push their physique so far and they're fighting for every ounce of progress. And then you got all these other people with just like, here's my 75 limitations. And like, why am I not like seeing any progress?
And they want to be
It's
a
it,
pro too.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
always,
I
oh
mean,
yeah,
yeah.
always.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
show. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
You
they
can
won't
always
do
tell.
this, they won't do that, they won't go zero carb, they won't take this, they won't do a lot of cardio,
They won't
they
schedule
won't
posing.
do they won't do posing, but they want to be an IFBB pro.
I can
Yeah.
have someone sign up and the first check-in, I know if they're going to be committed or not. Takes 2 seconds to
100%.
see. I
Yeah.
see the amount of effort put in the check in, and I already know.
100%.
Mhm.
I say this all the time to people all the time. You can tell just by looking at someone's check-in how bad they are or how much they are mentally invested. Okay.
Correct.
Literally, like, this is your chance to make yourself better. Your 3-word response isn't doing dick for you.
When
Yeah,
Chris
like I,
started coaching me, I wrote him like this long novel of an email, like, this is me, this is my history. I don't think he even read it.
Of course I did.
I would have read it, but I would have
Literally like
known.
a short story book.
But you know right there that she cares.
Yeah. It was like the most detailed one I've ever seen. And you guys know too, like Chris was saying, you almost like for me, I almost get like goosebumps when I see this and I see the pictures come in and I'm like, holy shit, like this person is gonna go somewhere.
Mhm.
I
Uh,
instantly know.
yeah,
Instantly.
yeah. You just know that they're willing to do anything and like the word can't, it's not in their vocabulary.
Yeah. Like I do check-ins on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and at 5 a.m. every morning, the first 3 check-ins I get are the 3 pros I have.
Yeah.
Like clockwork.
That's not a
Before I'm,
coincidence.
before I'm even awake, it's there filled out, like it's already there. I don't even have to look. And that's a reason they're pros.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what I say all the time. Like, dude, I mean, yes, genetics are very important, but like, people just don't realize how much you can completely change your physique and how far you can progress if you literally just have the work ethic and the mindset. Like, seriously, like, I've just seen so many average physiques make phenomenal progress and completely change just by literally doing a check-in properly, soaking up the knowledge, and training hard. That's literally all you have to do. And then it's a waiting game. It's a patient game. Like, how many months and years can you do it?
Mhm.
Correct.
You
Consistency.
know?
Yeah. One of the craziest things, kind of to touch on that, Chris, is like, we all have the eye for this where, you look at a check-in picture, male or female, and you're like, we kind of go back a little bit to Nick Walker, and it's like, well, they don't have the greatest structure, but then all of a sudden they're with you for a year or two, and you're like mind blown. You're like, how has this person changed from like blocky to now their physique is flowing and they look incredible? And it's just like, it just goes to that work ethic.
It's this right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
That really is it.
It's all it is.
Yeah. We always remind people too, like you never know. You have no idea how far you can go until you give it everything, you
Yeah.
know? And you
People
do that for a few years and you're going to start to see insane results.
Genetically, some people might have a shorter path and some might have a longer path, but at the end of the day, like, we all can change our physique.
people just forget though that like even at the local level, there's people that are obsessed. They will do whatever it takes to be better. And
Yeah.
that's like 2% of the people. And people don't realize like if they're not that, those people are gonna win.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we talked about it, on an episode a while ago. And, like I know Chris was touching on this, with us too, where it was like for him, it was just a huge deal to be Mr. Pittsburgh. You know, when I was coming up, 20 years ago, the Mr. Minnesota it was like a mini Olympia. I mean,
It's huge.
yeah. And it was like you were saying, Nate, people treated it like the Olympia, like you were the shit if you were Mr. Minnesota. And like to take out the Mr. Minnesota, for him coming back next year, it was crazy. Like you knew it was going to take something extraordinary.
That's gone.
Yeah.
Ain't never coming back, brother.
I know.
That's like, I mean, I might have said this already, but they got rid of the Mr. Pittsburgh. Like,
Yeah.
that's what the NPC power fit is now. It's a natural qualifier.
Oh, really?
I was just like, holy shit. Yeah. I was like, because I had people that were going to do like the NPC Pittsburgh regional show. And then I was like, it's drug tested. what? And it was like, no, it's a whole new show. It's a natural, like, I mean, they put on, it was a great event, but like, man, dude, you just like threw away like 20, 30 years of history just gone like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Chris, has there ever been any pushback on your part with your coach? Anything that you're like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
That I told a coach that.
Yeah,
Um, no,
I kind of figured.
you hate to say it, but I think that's more or less the fact that I worked with good coaches. Where like, there's nothing that was ever like told me to do that was stupid, and like everything has always made sense. Yeah, so not. I would say no to that.
Kind of figured. I just thought maybe
I mean,
because it's on the topic.
I've disagreed with things. Um, but yeah, I never said no.
Yeah, it's always tough to, you know, going down the path where you can just tell by the questions of like if you would just get to work and just do what's on the plan, you'd be so far off. You'd be getting all these results that you initially signed up for, but then it's just like, oh, can I have this? Oh, what about this? What about this sweetener? What if I just did this exercise instead? You know, it's like they're just looking for the easiest possible way out when this sport, like many other sports, are not easy. If it were easy, everyone would be a pro, everyone would be, an Olympia contender. And it's just it's frustrating for us, I think, hearing, a client try to just constantly take the easy way out.
Well, they're
Yeah,
not
I think
seeing.
I think something else with that too is like, we live in a day and age where like coaching is so big. There's coaches everywhere. Everybody has a coach, which it wasn't like that whenever we started. And so like there's this idea that like you hire a coach and like every week it's going to be this mind-blowing like check-in, like conversation, when in reality, if you think back to probably your most successful off seasons, I probably ate the same foods and did the same training for 3 to 6 months on end. And like, I didn't even work with coaches. I didn't even have check-ins half the time. And so it's like people hire a coach and outside of show preps, but like for a normal person hiring a coach, it's kind of like a coach should relatively like be able to put together the plan and customize it within the first month. And then after that, it's really about just getting a thumbs up every week, as boring as it sounds. Yeah, you bring the food up or take it down, maybe tweak the training, but like you're just putting in time at that point. And like I think there's always this idea of like, again, it comes down to the instant gratification and the attention span era that we're in now, where it's like, I didn't put on 25 pounds of lean mass yet this off season. Like, where's it at? You know what I mean? And the same thing with like maybe a lifestyle client that's trying to recomp, where it's just like, dude, you've undereaten for the last 30 years. Your hormones are a mess. Your gut health is horrible. What do you expect is going to happen here in the first 3 weeks of us dieting? Like, you're going to have to like pump the brakes on your expectations pretty damn hard.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like what you were saying, Chris, like, yes, we all can produce incredible results, and we have, but we aren't magicians. If you come to us with an issue like that, it's going to take some time, and that's up to, the client, that you have to be invested to go through the difficult times, to see the light at the end, because, it could be, like you said, gut health, it could be, hormones are off, blood work's off, and that's going to take time because it took time to mess those things up, you know.
Yeah, that's something I see all the time where you get people, again, they've undereaten their entire life. And like they think that a 4 week like baseline meal plan is gonna like resurge this metabolism. And it's like, dude, you're gonna have to be in a surplus for like 6 months or a year. Like this isn't gonna be exciting yet.
at
Or
least.
people that like, they abuse themselves, or they're coming from another coach that was like so screwed up from prep. And it's like, I'm sorry, man, but like you're gonna have to be in that surplus for a long time. It ain't gonna happen quick.
Yeah. We've had to play cleanup crew for the past couple years with a few clients. I think those are probably the toughest because like,
Yeah.
you know, we're not gonna openly bash another person's coach. Like it is what it is. We can't change that, right? But to change what, the harm that they've done to this client, it's really going to take some time, and it's more difficult with those than coming from, someone that's been unhealthy for 20 years but doesn't have all those issues. It's like we're starting from ground one versus like a bad coach, you're starting like, below ground zero.
It's kind of heartbreaking for me, like seeing other women struggle, like when they trusted someone else to help them, and then it just really backfired for them. And like I get impatient for them too.
Yeah.
I do notice sometimes though the clients, it is sometimes the client's fault. Like
Yes.
not especially with the post show stuff.
Good point.
Yes.
Good point.
It can be like they can blame the coach, but if you really dig deep into it, you find out it wasn't the coach's fault.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. There's been a lot of
Yeah.
those too.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a little bit, because this is something, all of us probably experience every year. Every year we can think of plenty of them where it's just like,
And then Chris is going to tell us a post-show meal.
yeah. But yeah, I think, what we have figured out, from our experience and obviously the coaching experience is like a first or second time competitor doesn't realize not only the health risks, but the really how far you're setting yourself up from just eating like it's your last, days on earth after a show. And just thinking that you can continue to ride this wave for 2, 3 weeks. And then it's just like, how are you looking worse than when we started 25 weeks ago? And at that point, you guys know it's so sad because at that point, it's almost like we should just go right back into prep, you know?
Yep.
You need to
You just
focus
blew
on
your whole you just blew your whole off season in six days post contest.
Yeah,
100%.
that's it.
I've seen it many times.
You see it all
Yeah.
the time.
I think that's actually I think that's probably the darkest side of bodybuilding that nobody talks about. That should be, I mean, there should be a disclaimer that should be signed by anybody that does a show. It just says that reverse dieting after a show is hell. Like
It's
it
hard.
is
It's harder than the actual prep.
Yeah.
100%.
I've
I
actually,
mean,
yeah,
that's the worst hunger that I've ever felt in my life is the rebound dieting, and it just consumes you. Like, and I mean, it sucks is like when you have kind of like an average looking client, it's like maybe their first show or second show, and they're trying to just go through the process of like getting the fat off, and like maybe they look decent, and then they go out the night of the show and there's 8 pounds. And then they're eating breakfast the next morning and there's 3 pounds. And then like, it's Tuesday, Wednesday after the show, they're up 14 pounds. And then you got to tell that girl, like, hey, you got to buckle back in right now and diet and do cardio and like, and you're like, you can just feel it slipping so fast.
Yeah.
And then it's a week, and then it just like goes from that. And before you know it, like you said, it's like 4 weeks post contest and they're up 25 pounds. And
Mhm.
like, I mean, the thing is like, but coming back to square one about like the average people changing their genetics, if you can withstand a contest prep and then stay disciplined through a rebound, you have that. In my opinion, you literally do change your like genetics and metabolism. Like
$100%.
you can truly start, and you get that muscle maturity. You can like, dude, it sets your metabolism up so well for the off season. It just that first like 8 weeks, I always say post contest, if you can manage to stay on point for that and hang on, and then you do it for a couple of years. That's how like literally you get obscene progress. Like that changes everything. And if we think about like me as a competitor and as an amateur, like that's when I made my most crazy progress is like I just stayed in prep mode for months after the show. And you can put on 20, 30 pounds and look like you're 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
It can go either way. You can like put on 20, 30 pounds and look like you're 2 weeks out, or put on 20, 30 pounds and look like you're 30 weeks out.
Hmm.
You know, that like that post contest phase is that important. And people just want to start pounding the cheats. And I don't blame them. I've been there, but like that's why I'm saying there should be a disclaimer where it's like, okay, yeah, it's a 12, 16, 20 week prep, but like you're gonna have to put in 2 to 3 months after of still following a plan if like you want to really do this right.
100%.
I actually like when I like take girls on, I'll actually like kind of steer them not to compete and like tell them like just be honest with them like if you don't do this correctly, you can like you can ruin your body for a long time. Like this
Mhm.
is not a joke for women.
Right.
It's always like a huge red flag when someone's like, I'm just gonna pay you for the prep. And you're like,
Nope,
but
not worth it.
but after the show, like you need the guidance.
That's the most important part.
Yeah.
100%.
You know? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Chris, like you were saying, it can be obscene. Like, you know, after every show, I'm not a big like food guy, and my foods are so limited, like you guys know. So it's like all my reverses are great, but like one particular one, this was 4 years ago, and it was I have this picture, and I'm like 10 weeks post show, and I had done 3 shows that year. And even to this day, if I sent you guys the picture, you'd be like, no, that's not you, Chris. It just looks so ridiculous, like the fullness. And like Chris was saying, like it's not quite 2 weeks out, but it's, maybe 4 weeks out condition. And it's just, it doesn't even make sense. But it was just, I was so dialed in, like I was
Yeah.
still in prep. And that's when I won at Masters Nationals, but I wasn't given the nod somehow in the overall. So I had that fire of like, this is
Fire
prep.
makes all the difference.
Oh, and I'm like, I am doing this perfect. This is going to be a perfect rebound. I didn't mess up once. And then, like I said, 10 weeks post, it was like the craziest progress I've ever made.
Because you get your
Yeah.
calories so high at such a lean tissue with such high insulin sensitivity. And you probably cleaned out too for that 8 to 10 weeks. When
Exactly.
you're in that spot,
You're in just all food.
oh
Yeah.
man, you can grow so much on just food 8 to 10 weeks post show.
Yep. 100%.
What about the people that just decide they're not gonna go to the gym for 1 to 2 weeks and not do cardio for a week because they need to reset or
Yeah,
mentally.
that's tough. Or
I
people that
bet
do right before a honeymoon or something, and you're like, man, you just lose a week. Like that's always a tough situation to be in as a coach.
Hmm.
I'd rather have them take the gym off than binge.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
suppose.
that's true.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
We're always,
but it usually comes in all three: food, no cardio, no gym.
Then,
It's
then
one
it's
it's
not
one end of
good.
the spectrum to the other.
yeah, I had a client last year, we'll just say nameless, but we're talking like figure, we're talking 5'2" height, and in 3 days she managed to put on 38 pounds in 3 days. And it's just like this was our second show that year, and I had already explained after the first time, after what happened after the first show, which I already warned, I put the disclaimer like Nate was talking about. She didn't give a shit, didn't follow anything. And then, of course, I think we had about 14, 15 pounds to peel down from that for the second show. Well, we did that. And then, of course, after that, after the second show, it was just like disregard everything. No cardio, no training for weeks. And it's like, I mean, think of the stress on your heart. I mean,
And she felt so
Edema.
off.
I mean,
I wonder why.
it's insane. I mean, 38 for like that type of stack, that's like 60 for us
Oh,
guys.
Gonna
easy.
say 38 on anybody is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
insane.
The 5 foot 1.5 female,
How
38
did her ankles look?
is huge.
oh, it was like a 2x4.
And the face,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like, we're not just saying this to say it. We're saying it because we're looking out for your health. We're saying it to, so you can go far in the sport. It's not like we're trying to like keep you reined in. Yeah, we want you to celebrate. We want everyone to celebrate after a show. And you can. You just can't celebrate for a whole week, you know.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
It's a very delicate time.
Yeah. Well, we could wrap this one up. I'm sure Chris is
Chris,
getting hungry.
do you do a post-show meal? And what is your go-to celebration meal?
Um, Honestly, I'm a pretty filthy eater. Like
Oh, I
some
am.
people want, some people watching this are gonna laugh out of me saying that because they know. I really have no dignity when it comes to what I eat sometimes. Like there's nothing uh I mean I eat anything like
Hot dogs?
I was just
uh
gonna say hot dogs.
Yeah.
I mean I love junk food. I love just like going to a gas station and dropping like 20, 30 bucks, whatever, on just like chips and uh what chips and like candy bars and ice cream and donuts, pizza. Like I love pizza, wings. I love bar food, like your typical like burgers and wings and fries. Um, but yeah, I mean, I do think that like as time goes on, like, I mean, whenever I was young, I used to go real hard. Now, like I don't know, you're more mentally into the show and like I don't know, it's more of less like to me now, as soon as the show's over, it's just like the peace of mind of like, oh shit, I can breathe. If I want to eat a saltine cracker right now and a bottle of orange juice, I can do that. And like it's not throwing off my plan. Um, so usually like it is nice to just go out to eat and kind of snack. It's nice to snack on whatever, like have a salad and not take the croutons out or like eat tomatoes and like all that little stuff that like you can't do. That's what people don't realize. Like you don't have any freedom. Like, oh, you can eat fruit and you can eat this and that. It's like, no, you can't. Like, or snacking on bread at a restaurant. But yeah, I think that like a typical post show is like now I do remember when I did Orlando actually, which was the last time I competed. It was in Orlando and we were in this one like district of uh all these stores. And I stopped at everywhere. I stopped at McDonald's, got a couple Big Macs, stopped at like Pizza Hut. We got pizza and then like got ice. Like I was just like, you know what, screw it. Like I'm gonna get it in, you know, which I sound completely contradictory after the entire previous speech, but you know,
You also have a lot more tissue than most of your clients.
I've also been doing it for 20 years and like,
Right.
yeah, I've kind of earned that little bit of freedom that comes with that.
Well, or,
So
I always like compare, like, I've achieved a lot of my goals. So I
yeah.
was like so strict before in my off seasons. And now that I've achieved the goals that I've wanted to achieve, I'm still good in my off season, but am I as dead set as I was before? And
Yeah.
I'm also a completely different physique because we do develop over time.
How about you guys? What do you guys like to do as soon as the show's over?
Fruit.
Gosh, for me, I mean, I just love like a steak from Ruth Chris, you know. I just love like a big porterhouse. I want salt, that
It feels good to eat and not measure it.
Yes.
yes.
Because like, you measure everything in so many grams or so many out, and then like at the end of prep, you're just so hungry, you're like, okay, 6, 7 ounces of meat, like that's nothing. You want to, it does feel good to sit down to like a 16-ounce steak and know that you can just like eat and eat and eat and like get at least that little bit of like feeling of getting full.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And the loaded baked potato.
Oh,
That sounds pretty good.
I like you said, Chris, I like to just like go to a restaurant and pick something out. But I do now that we travel for shows because we can't do anything local. I like finding a donut spot in whatever town.
I do love me some donuts. I've visited the Quick Trip donut section many times.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, the cake donuts.
The baked section they have there. I've blown through that many of times.
I like the really like bougie fancy donuts, like
Those are
overpriced.
harder to find.
Yeah.
Are you guys like crumble cookie?
Oh no.
No,
Terrible.
absolutely
I
not.
No,
just feel like it's a little bit overrated. It's like I mean, I
yeah,
eat it, I enjoy it, but like if I'm gonna split hairs, like I do feel like there's a lot of better other options.
For sure.
100%.
We usually get like our desserts when we get one. We got a gal here that's local who does gluten-free and dairy-free for us.
That's nice.
Custom order, she'll make
Yeah.
whatever.
She'll literally make you anything you can conjure up. You just send it to her and she'll make it.
That's awesome.
No questions asked. She's like unbelievable.
Yeah. And it tastes real.
Yeah.
You wouldn't ever know it was
You'd never
gluten-free and
know it's
dairy-free.
dairy free.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, let's
Nate,
finish off with the
Nate, how about you, man? Anything besides
yeah.
fruit or just fruit?
Honestly, I'm not a sweet guy. I'm more of a savory guy. So like,
Yes.
if you just give me a burger, I'm good, man. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
it,
burgers is my go-to.
same with when I'm in prep. I don't even think about sweets because I just don't really. I never ate. I never got to eat them as a kid because my parents were pretty hardcore about that. So I just never developed the palate for them.
That's good.
We
Yeah,
know you're down for sushi.
sushi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I can always do sushi, man. I love it.
I'm
I usually eat
honestly not
some
that big
too.
of a sushi fan. I mean, I
I
love to
used to
eat it
not
right now,
like it. Yeah.
you know.
People used to tell me you haven't had the right sushi. Um,
Believe that.
and that's what it was for me. I just hadn't had the right
I
type of
believe that.
quality sushi. And then when I did, I was a believer.
I mean, see, my problem is I'll go to a sushi restaurant and I do like it, but like I don't know anything that's in any of them. So I see 75 different rolls and it's Russian roulette every time of like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll pick this one.
I
Like, let's hope it's good.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got to write them down. That's what we do.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I usually ask the waitress, like, okay, what does everybody eat here? And I mean, usually that at least steers me right.
Yep. Well, let's finish off. We'll do some rapid fire. So Nate, I want you to throw some ideas, just like a one word, and Chris will give us like a one or two word, whatever comes to mind.
I got one going
Just
off the topic we were just doing. Post show, shower first or eat?
Um, It depends on if I won or lost, I would say. Typically, I would say honestly, I'd probably eat first.
Okay. Nate,
Oh, shower instantly.
I'm a shower.
Yeah, yeah.
Favorite movie?
Inception.
Okay.
American Gangster.
Okay. Dorian Yates.
Big. Granite.
Uh, Intensity.
Sam Sulek.
Could have dressed better at the Pittsburgh Pro. That's not one word.
Gets too much hate by people that shouldn't even worry about him that are above his level.
Favorite thing to do during cardio?
Concert videos.
YouTube videos, like music videos, YouTube.
I watch my 600-pound life.
That'll do it.
There's so
That'll do
many.
it.
That's interesting on cardio.
I see enough 600-pound life at work.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that was good, man. We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can do it again soon in a few weeks.
Yeah. Good
Yeah,
luck, Chris.
obviously,
Thank you.
For sure, man.
yeah, obviously we're pumped,
Hey,
for
shout out to Nate real quick. Let's talk about what show he's doing this year. Let's put a spotlight on him quick
No,
before we
no,
end.
no, no, no. No, no.
Can we talk publicly about that or is it a secret?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
All right.
That's fair. That's fair.
Is this a national show year too or no?
If I win a couple overalls, I may.
All right.
I want to get
We've
like
got,
five, I want to get like 5 or 6 overalls under my belt
Okay.
you can see anything wrong with that, actually. I like that mentality.
because I don't want to. I don't feel a point to turn pro if I just need a 2 year off season. What's the point?
No, yeah, I mean, and I always said that you shouldn't be competing nationally unless you could win any regional show.
Mhm.
100%. I mean,
Save yourself the time and money of flying there and getting second or third call outs.
yeah, what's the point? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, too many people win one regional show and they beat two guys in their class and they think that they're national material and they're not.
I don't even consider any of the wins that I have over people that aren't good wins. I just don't. They don't exist.
Yeah. I mean, you should be beating people that are like respectable, you know what I mean?
100%.
Yep. All right, gentlemen. Well, you guys enjoy your night. Get some food. We'll see you guys on the next one for sure.
Good luck, Chris.
See you
Thanks,
guys. Thank you.
All right. See ya.